Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Sunless Skies. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy to have you here with me as we explore the Royal Society. It's not Royal Society, it's Portsmouth, I think. I'm not really sure. We are currently... Is it the Royal Society? It is. It's just how it's called, isn't it? The Airy House. That's the one I was thinking of. But we are, well, we did everything here in Portsmouth. Let's go to the Rochester Club, a cozy country house bolted onto the side of the Society's glass houses and overgrown lawns. This is the meeting place of the infamous Rochester Racing Club. Brandy glasses gleam on the shelves. Polished brass fixtures abound. A fire roars in the hearth. Members sit in comfortable armchairs, comparing war stories. Parts salvaged from broken trains adorn the walls, and I can drop my driver off. The problem is, I think I need them. Do I? No, that's the chief engineer. Really? Or is that just the driver will leave the... Is that your name? Incautious driver. It is. It is. We got this. They're eager to get to the races. Absolutely. The driver will leave your engine. So long as they're not out racing, you can pick them up again. That sounds like a good thing. We had to come here anyway. And in fact, I might have written down that I had to come over here. Eagle's Hyperium. That's one place that I noted down that I had to go to. But I don't think I wrote down this. Anyway, the driver waves as they disembark. Thanks again, Doc. You won't regret it. Probably. They disappear into the smoky confines of the Rochester Club. If you listen carefully, you can hear the boasting already. I love it. And I can place a bet. Absolutely, I will. I'm not very... I don't have a lot of money. How much is that? 100? Yeah. They're sure to be victorious. After all, they are your officer. You will not be able to return the driver to your locomotive until they're back from racing. Oh, that's just what I do, is I place the bet. Lord Rochester takes your sovereigns with a wink. I've heard a lot of tall talk about your driver's capabilities. Let's see if there's any truth in it. Your driver steps into the borrowed locomotive, emblazoned with the colors of one of the retired racers of the club. They give you a last wave before the door shuts and steam pours from the engine. The flag falls, they're away. And returning a month to find out how your driver fared in the race. And this is old school style racing. It's a whole month. It's the whole month. It's actually kind of a funny thing. Well, I don't know how it goes in train racing, which is a thing, but specifically in motor racing. I do know how it went in cycling, and there's some wild stories back in 100 years ago when the first bicycle races started, races that lasted more than a day, like the Tour de France, the first few of them, the gaps between the racers were usually hours, but sometimes days of difference, because they would just arrive so early, or I mean, I guess the second place would arrive so late. But also it has to do, excuse me, it has to do with how, well, objectively easier it was back then to be better than the others, because, you know, nobody really took things seriously as they do today. So that's racing. It's the same thing with racing, I suppose. Because just to give you an idea, the first in the age of before Formula One, and in the first few championships of Formula One, the first tens of championships of Formula One, cars were they had no aerodynamic downforce, and it's not that it was impossible for them to do the direct aerodynamic downforce. It was just didn't know that they could do that, because they weren't invented at the time. But even things like making the cars lighter instead of making the cars more powerful, that paradigm, it wasn't that they couldn't do it before, it's just that they didn't do it. And when I don't remember his name from Lotus. I should know his name. He was a very important person in motor racing. I want to say Chapman, but it's not Chapman. Either way, it was the maker of Lotus. When he came into the scene and was like, I'm going to make my car super light. And then he won a bunch of things because his cars were super light. There was like a paradigm shift. So the month-long racing, I'm sure it has something to do with this being old school inspired and stuff like that. Let's go to the clubhouse and see what we can do here. We can compete in a Rochester race? Ourselves? I'm gonna inquire into joining the Rochester Club first. You are, after all, a captain of the skies. I can win everything because I got my drifting technique. The dismal debutante curls her lips. The boisterous Harridan cackles. The current Lord Rochester laughs gamely before abruptly stopping. Oh, you're serious? He coughs to conceal his embarrassment. Well, should you really wish to join our merry company, you'll have to prove yourself a proper racer. The careless Deviless, in her smoked velvet jacket, appraises you carefully. You'll need to prove your mettle, my dear. Win one of our races, and we'll be happy to admit you. Let's compete in a Rochester race and see how that works. Oh boy. It's not a skill check. It's not a skill check. We're doing this. Also, what skill check would it be? Mirrors and iron? Mirrors and hearts would be a nice thing for me. I would be a good racer. Lord Rochester claps you on the back. Good sport. No, I forgot his voice. It was something like this. Good sport, that. The rules are simple. Get to the destination port and back here in 30 days. Then you can call yourself a true Rochester racer. Savvy? He calls for order in the club room and gathers the other racers around. A quick toast is raised to your health, and then it's on with the race. So I need to reach the floating parliament and come back, which is great because I was going there. In 30 days, that should be easy enough. That's not a race. That's easy. Yeah. This is the nice turn of events, I would say. Nell's Tower, the Royal Society's observatory, is named for King Charles's canniest mistress. I have no idea what that means. Canniest. Is that derived from the word can, as in to can? Or as in toucan? No, I don't know. Anyway, Nell's Tower is the jewel in the society's crown. A sign on the door in neat copper plate reads, quote, Nell's Tower closed for the 13th annual airy dinner. Arriving at Nell's Tower, that's just that, isn't it? No, it's just that's what it is. Leave urgent business at doorstep. There's a polite cough at your shoulder. Turning, you see a tall man with a beard like a nest of vipers. The supercilious. I don't know what that means. The supercilious Burzar introduces himself. I came to round up stragglers. But, as a captain, you are of rank sufficient to attend a dinner, if you wish to attend. Attend the 13th annual airy dinner. I will. There will be port, Captain, somebody says to me, and I am down for that. Not so much for eating while drinking port, but I hear some people do that. I don't drink port for as a table wine. That doesn't sound right. I don't even know what food you would eat with that. You'd need to be couldn't be very acidic. Well, I guess maybe it would work nice with acidic. Anyway, if you've never had port, it is quite good. I am closely acquainted to it, considering that I basically live in the land where the name comes from. It's basically a city that's that name. It's the capital P, but anyway. The dinner is held in the mahogany and marble imperial dining room of Airy House. Every piece of the dinner service is mismatched, and both the furniture and the personages in the room are pleasantly rumpled. The supercilious Bursar brings you to the high table, where the three senior astronomers of Nell's Tower are holding court. You are introduced to the senatorial professor, the chair for the effulgent sciences. I wish I knew what that means. I think I have heard that word before. But I bet for those of you who know what that means, it's like, mwah, fantastic thing or something. It sounds like this would be a nice joke. Anyway, and the lecturer for Imperial Affairs as the first course is served, and I can dine on game pie. It is ample and succulent, its flesh lightly roasted. Oh, roast would work well with port, I would say. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, I can guzzle the port. That will reduce terror. Wait, I gain supplies? No, I will guzzle the port. And by guzzling, do I mean drinking it? The Royal Society is renowned for the variety and the depth of its cellar. I should make point, by the way, that port, even though port comes from Portugal, and it is made in Portugal, the United Kingdom has a very large stake in it, and historically speaking, and even especially to this day, as the country that most works in it, all the wineries are basically owned by United Kingdom. Well, maybe not today because Chinese they invest a lot of stuff, but that's why it's for those of you who don't know port, it's a very British thing, even though it is from Portugal. And yes, the Portugal does come from that thing as well. It's all connected. Good lord! It's smoked like fine cheese and fired like a master potter's kiln. The color is pale ruby, like a star-kissed stone. Its bouquet is Homeric, as are the epithets you lavish upon it. The senatorial professor smiles and adjusts his blindfold. From the ruins of Port Avon, a marvelous find. The first course ends with a great smacking of lips and a general feeling of goodwill towards the chef. Or chef? Either way. That sounds good. Okay, are we on to more eating? No. Are we? No, yeah, we are. The supercilious Bursar passes the dish of buttered potatoes with an oily smile. Because he was eating potatoes? Or, I don't know. I don't actually know what... I've never had buttered potatoes. Is that just potatoes fried in butter? I've never had those either. It's all either olive oil or just, not mineral oil. What's it called? Vegetable oil? I believe it is. Anyway, the conversation continues, lubricated by Herculean quantities of port. We're going to be drunk out of our minds. That thing is, port is really, really heavy. It's really heavy on alcohol. It's like drinking whiskey, basically. Well, yeah, it is like drinking whiskey. That's another thing why you don't drink it at the table. You're going to get plastered. You drink a full tall cup of port? Yeah, you're going to get plastered. No matter how many potatoes you're going to have. Buttered potatoes, roasted squirmings. I think I know what that is. Roasted squirmings. I think I know what that is, and I like it. Anyway, the salted Hebridean mushrooms, sautéed. Hebridean mushrooms are devoured in between rhetorical thrusts. So I can talk to the lecturer in Imperial Affairs, or the chair of the Effulgent Sciences. Her eyes are wild. She has savaged the potatoes. Her conversation rambles, but her language is poetry. Let's go with that. She interrupts you repeatedly to make this point or that. At first, these feel like random interjections, but by the end, she's refuting points you made at the start of the course and anticipating your jokes with wild-eyed delight. I have always been in love with the heavens, is all the biography you get from her, however. The second course ends with a lecturer in Imperial Affairs telling a rather ribald joke and a hearty toast to the continued health of all present. Sherbets produced in... I don't know what sherbets are. I have heard this. Oh, no, I do with that. I know what that is. It's ice cream. They just don't know how to write it. And basically, that's where the word comes from. It doesn't have an R, though. Yeah, that comes from the French word for ice cream. And it's basically a different kind of ice cream that the British decide is different than ice cream. But it's all, in the rest of the world, it's all ice cream. Anyway, sherbets produced in London's sweet shops. Sponge cake from the Admiral Nelson on Port Prosper. Clotted cream and actual strawberries grown in the gardens. More port, obviously. You can actually, port is a delicious wine to just mix with sweet. You can do that with simple, especially with fruit. It works very well. My favorite, and it's actually quite common here in Portugal to do it, is cantaloupes. Cantaloupes in port is fantastic, especially if it's spicy cantaloupes. But even if it isn't, you're just going to need a better port if it isn't, because the port is going to have to carry the flavor. Spicy cantaloupes is the best thing. The conversation grows looser, but the story is more risque. The supercilious Bursar leans in conspiratorially. I arranged these dinners to promote unity, you understand? And of course, for the good memory of our previous president, who nobly argued for the introduction of the society to the wilderness, and convinced Her Majesty of our utility. He toasts the large portrait of Airy that dominates the room. So I can keep talking to the chair. She's drawing something on the napkin, where I can go talk to the senatorial professor. Let's go. He has procured brandy from somewhere. This port is shamefully neglected. How dare you, sir? He pours you a measure of amber liquid. I'm sorry, it's a sherry glass. We are not allowed to use the brandy glasses anymore after what happened last time. He waggles his eyebrow meaningfully and swirls his glass. I have no idea what a sherry glass is. I am not even sure what sherry is. Is that brandy? I know what brandy is. Is that what... I suppose it would be, because he's serving brandy, so a sherry glass would be for brandy. Whatever. I apologize for our fractiousness. London isn't allowing us to move the telescope. They've got it pointing at barren sky. Our research is on hold until we've got official word. Maddening. The third course comes to a close with a great groaning and heartfelt but false protestations that one couldn't possibly manage cheese and biscuits after all this. Oh, one can always manage cheese and biscuits, I do declare. The supercilious Bursar leans in as the plates are cleared away. Before we adjourn, there is the question of patronage to consider. All eyes are on you. A hush falls over the table. The three faces of the astronomers are turned to you. The supercilious Bursar continues as though nothing has changed. Our telescope is operated only by the will of the government. We are not allowed to move the telescope without permission. A bold skyfarer such as yourself might obtain such permission, or at least an official-looking document that could be conceivably construed as permission. Our astronomers would be very much interested in patronizing you. You bring them a permit, they can advance their researches. In exchange, they'll teach you what they know. I'm choosing the three people? The wild-eyed astronomer, specializing in the habits of the stars, will be your patron. The blindfolded cantankerous astronomer, and again, and that's the definition. That's how the word is used. That's the actual word. Cantankeri is not an actual word. It's a made-up word for this game, I think. Cantankerous. Yeah, and it means just rambunctious and just somebody that is very loud. I think that's what it is. Or upset. Somebody that is upset. Anyway, a blindfolded cantankerous astronomer of Old London will be your patron, or the person that I didn't talk to, the lecturer in imperial affairs, the iron-haired astronomer. That sounds like a riot right there. London's own appointment will be your patron. Let's go with the chair of effulgent sciences. I want to see if I can figure out what effulgent means. She lets out a high laugh, wild as the shrieks of the bat-winged curators that ride the celestial winds. I'll show you such things, Captain. Come to the tower, do, and make sure you have a permit. If I hold left click, this happens. Oh no, that was just, I don't know what was going on there. Oh, yeah, it happens. You hold left click and that happens. Your patron is a chair in the effulgent sciences. That was a great time. I'm just all the while I'm just feeling nice because I know that down here the terror has gone down. The Royal Society's observatory is named for King Charles. Here, that's the Queen astronomers. Here, astronomers turn the vast steel telescope to the heavens and report on the movements of the stars. London is keenly invested in their findings, and I can observe the clockwork sun, which I am sure is gonna increase my terror because it's awful. I can renounce my patronage. And I can choose a patron. The astronomers are eager to resume work, but they require ministry-stamped permits and a captain willing to supply them to proceed. And read my patron's latest reports. I can deliver the chair in effulgent sciences permission to make the telescope. I can do that, because it is time. But more importantly, I have one ministry-stamped permit, which I need more of. But you have the paperwork from London that could plausibly justify her continuing her researches into distant stars. The ascent of the telescope is arduous, and up an improbable number of winding stone stairs. At the top waits the telescope, gargantuan and gleaming as a dragon slumbering in its lair. The chair pulls the machinery to open the dome to the heavens. With visible glee, for a few moments she stands alone, looking up, bathed in distant starlight. And then she's at the telescope, lowering the great barrel until the lens is at her eye. And that's that. I can read the reports. I can also choose a patron. Let's see what that is. Whoa. I need more savage secrets. But I also need to be patroned by these people. Okay. So I can read... Yeah, before I observe the clockwork sun, I'm going to read my patron's latest report. Over there, the Bursar says... Oh, it's the Bursar. The Bursar says through a mouthful of muffin. On the desk for your perusal. It reads, a small measure of progress was achieved. I fixed the telescope firmly on the horizon, as I had indicated previous. Much must be left to speculation, but I believe there are commonalities with my observances at Port Avon. A different intent for sure, but one must wonder for how long have our microscopic activities been under the lens of minds immeasurably superior to our own. Yeah, that sounds like this game, all right. So I can go back there and read that again anytime. Yeah. Let's observe the Clockwork Sun. London authorities... authorizes and encourages this use of the telescope. The Bursar informs you, the Ministry has stamped permits for this particular usage up to the next century. The sun's rays and of course I gain terror, wash over Albion from corner to corner, like a pale tide. Its light waxes and wanes, sometimes burnished gold, sometimes gray gold, as a parliamentarian's beard. Looking closer, you can see activity on the sun. Sporadically, it turns, its terrible machinery spinning. Occasionally, it hits resistance and judders to a halt. That doesn't sound like a good thing. Why would I want to observe that and just get terror? I asked that because I can do that again if I want to. Anyway, the area over here. Didn't we do everything here? The Celestial exhibit? No, we did not. The Royal Society. The words, nullius in verba, are written across the stonework above the great bronzewood doors. That's the word in English. It's basically, this is Latin, obviously. Nullius is no one, I think. No one speaks. Verba... yeah, it's where the word verb comes from, but the A at the end means something. It's not the plural, though. I don't think it's the plural. The words are written, Her renewed majesty has granted these grounds to the finest minds in Albion to work here. Their purview is to invent, to hypothesize, to discover, and most crucially, to watch the stars. I'm going to introduce myself at Airy House. The Royal Society welcomes careful captains. The mellifluous president greets you. He directs your attention to the new marble on the floor, to the cheerful portraits of distinguished Royal Society members lining the hallway, and finally to the very large portrait of himself in his plush library. We do like captains here at the Royal what? Society? Yeah. Royal S? I think he says Royal S. We need our space, and frankly our comforts to think, but it is you brave souls who do the real legwork. Extremely educational. If not, our gardens are extremely fine, as is our conversation and the port. The words are written, okay, so, yeah. So I can wander the gardens. It's a very bad chance to succeed. I can visit the mellifluous president. He intimated there might be work for industrious skyfarers. Hello, Captain. Do come in. The mellifluous president steeples his fingers on his desk, singular. Metal suns suspended from silver frames clack in the breeze. Now, are you here about work, or do you consider the term vulgar as well? I send reports back to London periodically, but we can't be everywhere. So much to do, so little time. Places of particular solar activity will do nicely, and I can acquire an invitation to Perdurance, which I believe I have already. I have like 5 million of them. Deliver a port report from Palmyra and Plenty's Inconceivable Circus, which I believe is a quest. Otherwise, why would I do that so specifically? A curious place, to be sure. I have never understood the appeal of clowns. Let's go with that. Nothing has changed, much as I expected. The astronomer tells me a very curious stone they have there. If one were to be fanciful, one might wonder if it is commemorative. He folds the lip of your report. Now, Captain, tell me, how are Curdles and Ruffles getting on? And I gained a bunch of money. I've gained 5 strength of the sun. Do I want that? And now I have 1. You have done the mellifluous president a favor in the very recent past. That's what I have. The Royal Society's gratitude. Okay. Okay, that's that. And I can deliver a port report from the Clockwork Sun. I need to go down there as well, I think. So, Bid him goodbye. Cheerio! So I can acquire an invitation, and I can do that because I have so many sky stories. Let's deliver a port report first. We would be very interested in information concerning our beloved star, the mellifluous, whatever. President folds up your report neatly and tosses it into the fire ranging in the hearth. A bead of nervous sweat courses down his forehead as he watches it carefully, not looking away until it is ash. I see. Very good, Captain. Very good. That doesn't sound good. And this is in gaining its strength. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I'm going to acquire an invitation. A small stack of invitations to the half-light mask are impaled on a paper spike on his desk. He won't say, I now have 8. Yeah, I have way too many of these. He won't say why he has them, but he will part with one if you can tell him something about the sky he doesn't know. 4 things, in fact. Good Lord, really? Well, well. He hands over one of the invitations. The card is elegantly embossed, inscribed with a gold liquid script. I love that. That sounds lovely. The puncture mark also sounds poisonous, by the way. Most of this stuff, most of the fancy stuff that existed in the past and doesn't exist today, stopped existing because it was poisonous. A lot of it. Anyway, the puncture mark from his paper spike seems like an appalling blemish. Yeah, it does. I suppose it would be. And I can say goodbye. Cheerio! No, he says cheerio. Okay. I can attend a port reception? What do you mean? Oh, because I couldn't do that before. Ah. Oh, I can also write a port report. Someone will be interested in what they're getting up to here. The Royal Society hums with activity. The preparations for a new wing of the Airy House are in motion. The mellifluous president is convening another committee to continue the renovations of the gardens. The astronomers are excited about a star of burnished amber seen far to the east. The Rochester Club regrettably continues at high speeds. How is that regrettable? That's not regrettable. Anyway, we're out of time for the day, and that is regrettable, but not for me, because I will record the next episode right away. You will have to, well, click up here if it's out already. Otherwise, you leave a like down below to make sure it comes out sooner rather than later. Other than that, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Bye-bye.